Uh, so welcome to the first lab of 225 CNC. This is our first lab. First thing I want to tell is my name is He Shang, and I will be your TA for the following semester. We'll gather you to the lab, and also we'll answer questions in the office hours. So if you have any questions, you can ask me and another TA. So the first thing I want to pass it around this tendency and make sure everyone has done this. So the major objective of the lab is help you to enhance your skills in the Revit. Based on my experience, the only way you can do is to keep doing the practice. So and accumulate based on your previous experience, and then you can accumulate and summarize and gradually improve your skill on Revit. So for the lab, we basically have two sections, which is a combination of lectures and exercise. So I will try to let you do a lot of practical hands-on works to get familiar with everything and prepare for the homework. And some lab may have the exercise assignment to submit. So it should be some more very basic things, and we assume the majority can finish at the end of class. But just to make sure you can submit before the due date. So the last piece, we have the office hours, which is on the Tuesday and Thursday for both TA. You can choose either sections, this will be fine. And from the 11 to 12 and 3 to 4. So before we go to the contents of the first lab, do you have any questions to ask? Okay. So we have four major objects to achieve today. The first is we will hands on our first project, team project, and we will go through the interface functions like select view planning, and then we will first draw a window, and the door sections. This is directly related to your homework one. And the last, we will also give you some hints about how to do the homework one. I think it can save you a lot of time instead of Googling just. So the first part is so now we can just start open a new project. So let's open the Revit. So we can. Yep. So anyone haven't filled this form yet? Attendance Okay, so the first thing we do is to create a new project. So make sure you're on the initial windows, then we click the new, and then we pop out the window, and it shows the template we can choose, which in here we just chose the architecture template. And make sure you create a new project instead of template. And OK. Yeah, sometimes just very slow. Okay, so I will briefly go through the user interface of this Revit new project type folks. So the first on the very top left part, which is the quick access toolbar, and in this case you can find all the open, save, print, and there are other like 3D view, like measurement, which is very popular tool that I use a lot here. I think if you hover your mouse on some particular part, it will show the explanation description of this part, help you to understand how it works. So below that part, which is the major section of our of the Revit functions, so we can find here is a lot of tabs. We have architecture tab, structure, system inner. So the architecture is basically about contains all the components about the architecture component, like wall, door, windows, like you can find stereos, and you can find other roofs and ceilings. So in the structure part, structure tab, we have all the components related to the structure, like beam columns. And for the system, it's really about the MEP system components. So if you're working on that part, you may use that a lot. The inner part is to insert something new, like other beam models, like the images into this file. Annotated is just to give a comment to your model, like you want users to understand what it is, or you want to give a dimension of this model, of a particular model here. We skip the analysis here, and this mapping and side is kind of give you an environment that you can create for the building, you can create a parking lot. You can create some trees around buildings. We skip collaborate here. The viewing is very important. It give you a different viewpoint of the software, so you can visualize the model at different viewpoint, different angles. We skip the managing, and as in this situation, the modify is a lot of tools. It's kind of like a drawing tools, like help you to create a new object or modify a currently existing object. So we can find there's a large area here in the center part, which is the drawing area, is where we are drawing the model here. And on the left side, we have a property window and project browsers. So to better illustrate these two sections, we will look at a simple file here. So simply click the file, and you can click the open. There's I'm stuck here, but you can click the open, and then there's small arrows here. Okay. Simply open. So there is sample files at the bottom. Make sure to select it. And we take a look at first samples, which is our click model. Click open. So repeat is just click the file and open and find the sample file at the bottom of the list. And you can choose the first samples, which is our clinical model. So after we open this file, we can find there's a kind of structure here. So so now this kind of property and the project browser shows a lot of information here. We will go through this one by one. So first we look at project browser. You can find that there's a floor plan, there's a ceiling plan, there's a 3D view, there's elevations. So the floor plan is just the flow view of the drawings. So they have 3 floors here. First is entry level, then have second floor, have third floor, and ceiling is the same thing, about 1, 2, 3 of 3 floors. And the 3D view shows a lot of. Probably we can first take a look at particular. You can just double click each viewpoint, take a look at it, and it just show different, the same model but at different viewpoints. So if we take a look at the 3D views, and here at the bottom of the 3D view, there's a 3D and bracket, and we just double click, it will automatically show the 3D view of the entire structure buildings. So after that, we have the elevations, which is the viewpoint taken at different orientations. We have the south, east, west, north, different orientation help you to view the building at different viewpoints. Pretty same as AutoCAD. Now then, later we have section views. It has the building sections and the work sections. The basic idea is here is to give you a detailed view for particular sections you define. So if we look at section 1, section 2, you can find you can just show a particular section of the buildings. So the work section is the same thing, but they're more focusing on the particular work sections. So what they do is just double click it and it will directly show the viewpoint there. So next is the detailed viewing. We can show more about detailed information in the viewing, and this is most useful for a constructor to understand the detail about the drawings. So the render view is more about the images, so you taken it on site at different orientations. So there are other views like walk through buildings. It's kind of detailed 3D view taken at different orientations. You can just double click each of them and take a look and get a feeling about how it works. It's pretty straightforward, I think. So we can go back to the entry level here, floor plans, first floor. So double click it, and so we are now on the first floor entry level view plan. Now we can find the property plan here is. It shows the name of this view plan, which is the floor plan, and so the parameters here shows all the parameters of this particular plan. So because currently we don't have any clip, so the parameters is about the entire view. So if we simply click anything in the model, like this wall, so it will. Now the property has been changed to this particular word. So it shows the type, which is basic wall exterior. And it also shows all the parameters related to this wall. So after you get the selection. So there's one thing to remember is, for this particular parameters here list for this based on my selection, if you change this parameter, you will change this only this word incidence. It's like you will change only this model. But sometimes we want to change all the type of the same thing. like we want to change the parameter of the basic board, we need to click this very tiny button behind, I think, below the word type here is edit type. So in this case, you were able to change all the entire type of this particular type of the word. So any instance in this type will be changed accordingly. So I think this part maybe should be related to your homework 1 because you need to customize some particular word with different materials. In here is you need to go to the, under the edit type, you need to go to the, let me go back. You need to go to the structure edit and take a look at the different material it contains and add the material you want and delete something that doesn't contain for your homework 1. But we were not covering we're not talk about too detailed about this part but I think in the next lab, if you still, we will give you some time to think about this part, but if you're still confusing, we will talk about it in the next lab. Okay. So if you can, there's another way to view the 3D part is to click the View tab. And there's a 3D view here. You simply click, it will show the same thing, just different methods to get 3D view. So one thing to look at is there is at the bottom of the joining area. It's really on the left bottom of the joining area. There are a lot of small items here. So this part, is more about how to rendering, how to showing the detail about the model. So I will show you here. The first item is, you can see, the scale is the same thing about how the dimension in the model relates to the real world things. So the second is the level of detail the model contains. They always show the coarse shows more easier or concise model, and the fine shows more detailed model. I will give you an example here. Is go to the level 1, and we can zoom in with the middle wheel. And currently, I think we're on the fine level. So we can really see the texture between the words. So if we change this back to the coarse, so the texture gone, the details gone. So so this part I think is more related to if you want to design something very detailed, very accurate inside, very small part, you may need the fine model to take a look at what is inside. Another thing important is the visual style, which is just on the right side of this more of the detail of detail level, which called is visual style. You click it, you have different options. So the wireframe is just the transparency. Everything is transparency except the edges. So the hidden line is kind of if something is above your structure, it will be hidden. So the shaded, if you click, it will show the color of the structure, but it's just simulated color. So if you want to see what it really looks like, you can go to the realistic. But sometimes it's very slow, and it's based on how your computer hardware or your GPU settings. So if you have a very large project, the best way is just to take a look at the shadings, not the realistic view. You may heavily slow your computer. So the next thing we can talk about is the selection. We have tried to select the things with single click, but there are different ways to select. So if we hold the control and the click, what we can do is to select multiple components here. So to deselect, just hold the shift instead of the control. We can select everything we select. So another way to do, you may think we also want to do the multiple selection. So there are a lot of ways to do. The first is we click something here and right click the pop-up window. And here it shows select all the instances, either visible in the view or in the entire project. You can say we select all this item at the same time in the view. Another way is to draw in the box. We can just draw a box to select all the components. The tricky part is here. The tricky part is that if we draw from left to right, only items that entirely is in the box will be selected. However, if we draw from right to left, everything except, even though there are only 1% of the item is being in the box, it will be selected. So in this case, nearly all the model has been selected. So there's one tip here is someone may mistakenly close this property window in some cases, like project browsers. So you have no thing to edit here. So the way to restore here is under the View tab. You can go to the View, and on the right side there's a user interface. We can find the list of these project browsers and the properties. They're coming back now. Yeah, just in case you close it. Another thing is someone may find this kind of component show different style here, because probably the reason is because you click this kind of minimize the panel buttons, so you just click them multiple times. So you are going back to your the default settings. Okay, so I think we currently have just generally go through all the parts of the user interface. So you have any questions there for these sections? Okay. So the next part is we are going to start drawing our first board, the first doors and the windows. It should be not very hard. So we can create a new project here. Simply click New Project. Make sure you're on the architecture template and the new project. So to click word, simply the word is under architecture tab. So simply click the word. And now when you click, you can find there's kind of a different style here with all the components that can edit the word. So first we just place a new word. So just simply first click the initial point here to make sure that it is start point of the word. Then do an end point here. So because it is a connected word, so we can keep working on that to draw a rectangle, something like that. It doesn't matter with the shape. So we want to finish, just right click and cancel. Or you can double exe to cancel to the word editing part. So there are other easier ways to draw different polygon of the word. So it is make sure you first have select the word, and then so it's under the modify and the place word. They're different. You can see different. The rectangle, the different polygon, even the curve of word. You can just give it a try and draw a word. Like the triangle is pretty straightforward. You just click and have it size that you want, and another click. So it will just draw a word very straightforward directly. So sometimes we may want to draw a word with particular length of the word with particular dimension instead of click 2 points, arbitrary 2 points. So in this way, we can do is we go back to the line selection here, and first same thing, we select initial point. Then instead of select the second point, we give a dimension here is like 50, and click enter. So it will directly show the length of the word in that orientation. So the dashed line shows the orientation of the word. So now we can go to 3D view to take a look at how it looks like in the 3Ds. So we define several words here, and we can change the fine level, the shaded to the shaded to make it have colors. So when we highlight a single word, we can find that here there is the word property shown. Simply click. The word type will show a lot of different word types. So we can just change the word type to another by click. Like here we chose the brick on CMU. So this selected word will be automatically changed to the different type you want. We can find that the color has been changed actually, and if you highlight it again, it will show the new type. Here is the brick on CMU. To change the property of the word, there are several important things. The first I want to introduce is the base constraints and the base offset. The base constraints is like, you can find the default is level 1. It's because level 1 is more like a ground. It's like we want to build the wall on the ground. And the base offset means how many inches you want above the ground to build the wall. Like here is 0, is just right on the wall. But if you change this number like to 5, we can expect the wall is like float kind of, yeah. It just change its offset part. So just get it back to simple. Okay. So another thing is we want to change the real height of the wall. In this case, the unconstrained height is the customized height you want for the particular word type you highlighted. Like here we can change like to 30 and apply. So we can see this particular word has been highlighted, has been changed to 30 instead of 20 as the default. So another thing is in the real world situations, we may want to build a wall between the level 1 and level 2, which is build a wall between the first floor and the second floor instead of a particular number. In this case, we can change the top constraints here because we are currently on the level 1, so we want to change it to the level 2, which is from level 1, height is from level 1 to level 2. And then we apply. So we can find the wall actually has been changed again, but in this case, the height is from level 1 to level 2, and we can take a look at the elevations view here. In the project browsers, in the elevation view, and then we can just double click to check. This is another wall, okay, east. Okay, yeah, we find in the south part for my situations, but you may different. The wall has been changed from level 1, which is 0, to level 2, which is 10. So I think this used a lot for when you design multiple story buildings. Okay, there's one more thing to just remind is we can, if we go back to level 1 and click each wall, we can find there's a small double, this kind of arrow here. So this symbol shows that which side of the wall is on the external part. It means it just shows the direction of the wall, because some walls have different direction. That their external and their interior wall is different. They show different materials, different colors. So make sure if you have a building site, you always want the orientation of the wall is exterior or it's on the white, it's on the outside part. So just check it for make sure that. So if it is not, you can just click it to flip it. Yeah, just. It's pretty straightforward. So now I will give you, I'll give you 5 minutes to draw a particular wall on the level 2 instead of level 1, because we have already drawn the wall on the level 2. Level 1, sorry. You can draw a wall on the level 2, and the shape and the property doesn't matter. You can just go around and get familiar with this part. And if you have a question in this section, you can ask. So if you get warnings if overlaid words, so simply what you can do is just, it will allow you to build your model, but the best way to do is change the height of the level 1 word to change the top constraint to level 2 of the word on the level 1. Okay, so you can keep working. I will go through this pretty fast. So the first is just, we can simply multiple select the first word and change it top constraint to level 2 to make sure there is no overlay. Then we go to the level 2 floor plans. I double click the level 2. So now we can just draw a word on the level 2, trace to the word shape on the level 1. So if you want to go theory, you can zoom in with the middle wheel and find the endpoint here. And draw the same thing here. So you can use the rectangle instead of a line to draw a faster way. So the height of level 2, you can let it as default or change to a different height, doesn't matter, because we don't have level 3 in this case, so we just let it as unconnected. So we go back to the 3D view. We can take a look at the word has been added another level. So we can click a particular word and change its type, like breakout CMU. And we find this part is on the exterior part, should be on the other side. So best way is we go to the level 2 and set all this part on the exterior part, make sure the orientation is correct. So simply flip each part, if the word, each word with the click. So after that, we can go back to the 3D view and take a look at the word we built. So it's two levels word. First on the first floor, and then we have on the second floor. Yeah, you can ask me if you have any questions here. So every
What is the reason I lost this? Hold on, I'm on the site here.
yeah, you can simply just click it and simply reopen it in the view. Here in the user interface, their project routers and the properties, just click check it.
I kind of lost.
So we have viewed more like first of all, level one. So just to quick first, you can in the object highlight. Yeah, this is not a change, and the level is to if you want to highlight starting from level one to level two, just make it toggle straight to level two. Label directly from connected from high from level one to level two. Level two is pretty fun either way you click. I think you may need to click the section view, which is 10. So it's the more you define it just from the level two. Oh yeah, if you want to view them more on the level two, you just double click the level two, and then you can view details in trace this model, or you can build them another source. This one needs to be built more. Pushing what I'm here, either thing one. So it's just so it has already here. We can take a look at this one. Show the overlay here. So the best way to do is check this back to level two. So there's to make sure there's no overlay because you boundary number comes over there. So you have the main tab down and you can check the style actually to show colors and into the either level one, level two. And this to flip.
How do you get that?
It's just you click it, it just shows you. So it shows orientation direction. This
Oh.
is the integral part, so it's making an outside. Click that one. You can just log in.
Okay, yeah, just get through the notice. Okay.
Okay, it looks like yeah, okay.
No, I
do have the square notes. Then it's square okay, I will. So the one thing here to make a miss part is how to do the viewing, how to do the moving of the based on your mouse. So the basic one, we know that we can use the wheel on the middle side of the viewing of the mouse to change the scale. So if we want to move the model, we need to hold the wheel in the middle and drag it. So it will do the translations. So to rotate, we know that there's a cube at the right top. We can just move the cube and to show the view, different viewpoints, different orientations. So another way to do the rotation is to the same thing like you press and hold the middle wheel and also press the shift on the keyboard and do these two things simultaneously. So you first press and hold the middle wheel of the mouse in translation. Then you hold the shift, it will do the rotations. So make sure your mouse is in the drawing area. So it will rotate now. So it's just a different preference, different ways to do the same things. You can simply choose what you want. Yeah. So is that your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So next part, we are going to jump to the doors and the windows to add to the wall. So the walls and the doors and the windows just next to the walls. So we first go to the door. Actually, window is the same thing. You click the door, and it will show the particular type of the door. To place the door, let's go back to the level 1 floor plan. Double click. And I think we need to re-click the door. And here we can find that it doesn't allow us to build a door individually in the space. But when we close to the wall, we can find there's a visualization of the signal about the door. So simply you can just try to click and put several doors here in the floor plan. So after you're done, you just double exit to exit, and if you can click each door you build, and you can find there's two small signal here. It's just same thing to change the orientation of the door, like left, right, up and down. You can just give a try. Yeah, there's simple click that can do very fast things. One thing to notice is that here we only have one particular type of door and different dimensions, but we always want different type, like two sliding window door. So in this way, we can add more doors. In this case, we go back to the architecture tab and then click the doors, and then here under the modify and place door section, there's a button called load family. So it will load all the families of the different door types. So simply click it. So it will pop up window, which is so the default library in the Ribbit should be under the program data. If you're not there, just under C and the program data and the other desk and the Ribbit and the libraries, and select the so it's default settings. So now we can select the folders called the doors and double click. So you can just go through, you can find there are different kind of doors. So you need to, I think probably you need to select if you're doing the homework, you probably select the same type of the door based on the homework. They have the particular definition of the door. So in this case, we click the residential folder and select the first one, showing the first one. Door exterior double full glass, and click the open. So this window, we just let it default. It shows the dimension of this particular door we added. So after a couple of seconds, we can find that here the new door has been added. So simply put it onto the wall, the same thing. We simply click on the wall, and you can place the new doors here, and we can also flip the orientation of the doors. So you can load the other type of the doors. So we can take a 3D view. Now we can look at all the doors we added. So it's different type of doors, different dimensions. So click a single door, it can help you to add the particular parameters here. And I will not go through details, pretty similar as the wall part. So the window is exactly the same thing, just different type. So just if you want to add a window, first we go to the level 1 here, and we can put the windows next to the door. And under the architecture tab, simply click the window. Now we can find here the properties show a window type. And you can change the dimensions, it doesn't matter. And the same thing we can put on the wall. You cannot put without a host. So we can put on the wall. We can put several here. And we can also load the new different kind of windows simply by click the window on the architecture tab and load families. It's the same process as the doors, just load the new windows under the Windows folder, which is on the, I think, very bottom. And double click, it will open the new window, and then you can go through, select one what you like, and give a try to put it on the wall. So I just put this simple one. So you can put on the wall, and so we can take a look at a 3D view. Now we add both door and the windows to a single window. I know it's too much, but just for clarification. So we can also put add doors and windows in a 3D view, but this is not very accurate because the location is totally based on your mouse. So we always prefer to place the door and the windows on the 2D floor plan for the accurate location. So now it will do the same thing, is give you a couple of minutes to define to put the wall and the doors and the windows on the second level, level 2 of the wall you define. And you can try different type of the doors and the windows and by load families, and also can select different dimensions to have a sense. So, so you have any questions? If not, I will go into the last section part, which is talking about some hints about homework. So we have finished on this part, and so the homework, we know that we have a drawing of the floor plan and a section plan, and they want us to do is to trace the floor plan, drawings to build a model, and then first we just do the wall, doors, and the windows. So a good way to help you trace to get a more shaped model is to first we can load the image file into these Revit models, and then we can do the drawings based on the images to help you make sure your shape is exactly the same as the drawings part. So what we do is we can go. So I have already upload the JPEG file in the cameras. So what you can do is just simply maybe we'll go to the cameras. So under the files folder, by the way, the lab 1, the lecture has been already uploaded. So in the lab 101 folder, you can take a look if you want to record something. In the homework 01 folder, there's 2 JPEG file. It's the same thing about PDF file about the drawing, just 2 pictures. So because Revit can only insert the image file like JPEG, the PNG file does not allow the PDF file. So what we do is we select the floor plan, we download it, and then we open the. Let's just create a new project here, like you're doing your new homework. Select architecture template. And in this case, we need to insert image into the model, so we need to click the insert tab, and here we have an image, which is the picture shows on the middle part, and we click and we find where the images we download. Let's see. So after we select the image file, it shows that big dashed cross signal, and then the center of the mouse, it can move. So it really depends define where you want to place this image. So we simply just place on the middle of the drawing area to show the drawings. So there's one thing to think about is this images is the size of the image is arbitrary. It's totally based on the image files. So, but in this case, we will need to build each wall with the particular dimension, right? So the best way is we can scale the image to the dimensions of it mentioned here to help you to build the model. So in this case, we first highlight the image file, and then if we highlight, we can find this entire tab here, the new pop-up tab, and then there's a scale function here. You can either click this scale function or type in keyboard RE to initiate this function. So what they do is it's simply we have an example like here. The dimension is 40 inches. So what we do is scale the image to the 40 inches. So the first, after we click the scale, we click the first point, then we click the second point. So in this case, it's 12, right? And then we click what we want, the scales, which is 40, and then enter. So now the images should be scaled. So we can take a measure. So they have measurement tool here, both here. So just do the same thing to get a confirm. Yeah, it's 40 now. So there's some decimals, maybe human errors, but it doesn't matter, I think. So based on after this scale, this picture can be really used as a way to trace your build models. So what we can do is pretty easy. We build wall on these images, just overlay on this image. Like we can start at any point here and then draw a wall. Okay. So you can, I'm not very accurate here, but just give you a sense about how it can really help you to save the time to build a wall based on your the drawings. So I think it can really save you a lot of time instead of read the dimension and put it in the model manually. Okay. So I think what you can do is just simply trace these images to build a model, and then you add the doors and the windows at the location. If it has dimension here, we want you to follow this dimension. If it is not, you just put the exact same location on the images. Build models, you'll be fine. So I think that's covered all the content we have for this lab. So if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah.
You get those images scaled out again.
Okay.
How do you get them scaled down? Okay.
So I want to do this video once again. Okay? So I'll do this. So the first is we go to insert and find the images we download, and then simply click open it, and then we can place it in the image file. So to scale it, just when we highlight it, there's a simple button here in the middle called scale. So what you do is just click this button to initiate this function. So this function is, I think, 3 steps. First, you click start point, and then you click the end point, and then after you click 2 points, you just type the numbers, like what scale you want. Like I want 100 in this case. So now this pictures, because I scaled the entire images, so this image has been scaled to 100 inches in the model. So you can do the same thing for your particular word sections, just based on the readings. So I think it'd be fine if you have some small decimal errors here. It doesn't matter. Just we want is just for the homework rubric. It's just we want you to finish all the sections, make sure you get all the points. If you so you have a small part like you have a problem with how to edit the word profile, how to customize particular material of the work. We may cover in the next lab, but we will give you some time to think about it. And then you can also ask questions in the lab, after lab, and in the office hours, or shoot me an email for both TAs. So you, okay. So I think we are covered all the content. You can ask questions or go if you want to the whole part. The scale is not real scale to the translations. So you see what is part on a permanent check too. So if there's a little bit of error, it's going to be fine. You know, so the model basically it's not perfect. So we want just to review everything. Look exactly similar. The numbers can be a little bit different.
All right. What about the second floor? Seems like here, the whole stuff here. How many
To here. Yeah, that part you need. I think you can do the same thing.
You have to load the windows of the road.
What? Yeah, you can.
You have to do
You just do for the whole white, just do the doors and windows, like the like I say. And I think now we're explaining how you were rapidly do the whole.
So we use the same.
I think this homework will keep doing to add more things. There are a lot of things inside, not just the building, not just the wall or their roofs, their ceilings, their floor. Yeah, this part. Yeah, this part is we try to take a look at each of the numbers and then relate to if you can. If you so we will accumulate if there are questions or problems if you're not recognizable or you cannot customize that into the client. Yeah.
Do we need to submit this?
No, this one's not.
I have a question. I'm trying to get trying to figure out a way to get this like a hash out. Press should be get it on here.
So you need student accounts. Student accounts. So I just put a student account. You need to register student accounts.
And where do we go?
So you need to sign in.
Education.
Let me just first one. You need to create an account. Yeah, I think you can. I think if you are using your QML, it will be counted as student, I think. So you can download it free. Another way is you download the trial version and change your account in the UI of the Ribbit. So if you were if you were a student, you would be free to use that.
Okay.
Yeah, there are different ways to do that. And if you
And then your UNL email is just your MyRed account.
yeah, it's just your MyRed account.
So yes, your username at UNL.edu.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's